My name is Emma Carter, and I'm 32 years old. For 15 years, my rich parents treated me like their personal helper, while my younger sister Chloe was treated like a princess. Every holiday and family event, I was stuck in the kitchen while Chloe charmed the guests. But last Christmas Eve, when my mom told me to cook for 25 of Chloe's important friends with only 1 day's notice, something inside me broke. What happened next didn't just shake up our family, it revealed a secret that left everyone, even a big-time company boss, totally shocked. Before I share how I went from being the family's cook to having my parents ask for my forgiveness, please give a thumbs up and follow if you like stories about fairness winning. I'd love to know where you're reading this from and what time it is there. Leave a comment below. I read every one. Now, let me take you back to that December night when everything changed. I was in my New York City apartment, neatly packing clothes into my suitcase when my phone rang. The screen said Mom, and I knew it wouldn't be a fun call. In our family's Connecticut house, Christmas decorations covered every corner. I knew because I'd been the one putting them up every year since I was 17. Emma, cancel any silly plans you have for tomorrow, my mother, Susan, said, without even saying hi. Her voice was bossy, like always, leaving no room for argument. I kept folding my work jacket. What's tomorrow? I asked. Chloe's having her work friends over for a Christmas Eve dinner. Very important people, Emma. 25 guests, including bosses from Summit Enterprises. She stopped, and I could almost hear her smug smile through the phone. You need to be here by noon to start cooking. 7 main dishes, 10 side dishes. The menu's already set. My grip tightened on my phone. Chloe's work friends. Of course, my younger sister worked in public relations and loved showing off how many important people she knew. Mom, I have plans, I said. Your sister's making connections that help our family. You should be happy to help. It's not like you're busy with anything else. Her words hurt like they always did. I glanced at my laptop, where an email from Rachel Lee, the head of Summit Hotels, was open on the screen. If only my mom knew. Use the fancy plates, she went on. These aren't regular people, Emma. These are people who matter. People who matter. Unlike me, I guess. I'll send you the menu, she said. Don't mess this up. The call ended. I looked at my plane ticket to Florida. Flight time, 8 p.m. tomorrow. My hand wasn't shaking anymore. After 15 years of this, I'd learned the difference between their emergencies and my priorities. I sat on my bed, memories rushing back like a bitter wave. 15 years of being ignored, except when they needed something. Every Thanksgiving since I was 17, it was, Emma will cook while Chloe greets the guests. Every Christmas, it was, Emma's out of work again, but at least she's useful in the kitchen. Every family party, Chloe was introduced as our successful daughter in public relations, while I was just, Emma's here too, helping out. The worst was Chloe's engagement party, with 200 guests at the country club. I spent 14 hours making appetizers, while Chloe shone in a $3,000 dress our parents paid for. When a guest asked what I did for a living, my mom laughed. Emma doesn't have Chloe's people skills, but she's great in the kitchen. I stood up and opened my closet, pulling out another suitcase. Inside, tucked safely in a leather folder, was a contract that would change everything. My company's name, Bright Star Events, was printed in gold on the top. I'd chosen a name that didn't include Carter on purpose. For 5 years, I'd built my business quietly, with 50 workers in 3 cities and clients like fancy hotels and big companies. Tomorrow, while my family expected me to cook for them, I had a meeting to lock in a $2 million deal. My phone buzzed with a text from Chloe. Mom says you're cooking tomorrow. Don't ruin it. Important people are coming. I looked at my plane ticket again. Flight 447 to Fort Lauderdale, leaving at 8 p.m. Not this time, I whispered to my empty room. For once, they'd have to handle it themselves. I had a plane to catch. The irony wasn't lost on me as I kept packing. Two big signs had shown me where I stood in my family, and I'd ignored them for too long. The first was how they talked about me. At last month's country club dinner, my dad told his golf friend, "Chloe's our star." Emma's still figuring things out that same morning. I'd closed a $500,000 deal, but to them, I was always jobless, always failing. They never asked about my work or how I paid for my nice apartment or new car. They just assumed I was struggling. Once, when I mentioned traveling for business, my mom laughed. "What business? Is your little cooking hobby a business now?" The second sign was even clearer. Last summer, I visited home and found my childhood bedroom turned into a storage room for Chloe's extra clothes. My awards, my books, everything that showed I existed was packed away in the basement. "Chloe needed the space," my mom said, like it was no big deal. "She's building her career." Image matters in PR. Meanwhile, Chloe got the whole third floor, redone with our parents' money, complete with an office and huge closet. The message was obvious. One daughter was worth investing in, the other was invisible. I zipped my suitcase shut, thinking about my company's holiday party last week. My workers threw me a surprise party for landing the summit account. 50 people who valued me, who respected my leadership. My phone lit up with another text from Mum. "Don't forget the special oil for the food." These people have fancy tastes, these people, as if I didn't regularly cook for CEOs and celebrities. But why would she know? She'd never asked. The worst part was they were never curious. Not once in 5 years did anyone in my family ask, "So Emma, what do you do all day?" They made up their own story. Poor Emma can't keep a job, lives in a tiny apartment. It was a 2-bedroom condo, probably living off grandma's savings. I invested that money in my business, but at least she can cook. I had 3 top chefs working for me. I scrolled through my phone photos. There I was, shaking hands with the mayor at a charity event I catered. There was my team celebrating our 3rd office opening. There was the article about me in a business magazine called "The Quiet Star of Fancy Catering." I never shared these with my family. I learned early that my success scared them. The one time I mentioned a big client, my mum quickly changed the subject to Chloe's latest ad campaign for a sports drink. "At least you're helpful in the kitchen," she'd said, patting my hand like I was a kid who drew a cute picture. I opened my laptop and checked my company's dashboard. Bright Star Events, built without a cent from my parents, growing without the Carter name, succeeding without their approval. Tomorrow's earnings alone would be more than Chloe made in 6 months, but they'd never know. My assistant texted, "A big magazine wants to feature you in their 40 under 40 list." They love that you built your business without family help. Without family help? If only they knew the full story. My family didn't just not help. They acted like I didn't exist outside their kitchen. If you've ever felt unseen in your family, or like your success doesn't matter, you'll get why I did what I did next. Leave a comment below. Have you ever had to hide your wins from family who didn't support you? I read every comment, and it means so much to know I'm not alone. If you're enjoying this story, please consider following. We're building a group of people who won't let others dim their shine. Now, let me tell you about the text that changed everything. My phone buzzed with a reminder, and reality hit me like a splash of cold water. If I stayed quiet and played the helper tomorrow, I'd lose everything I'd worked for. The Summit Hotel's contract wasn't just another job, it was the big one. A $2 million deal to cater their 5 Florida hotels, a partnership that would make Bright Star Events famous nationwide. The meeting was December 26th at 9 a.m., and it couldn't be changed. Rachel Lee, Summit's boss, was clear. "I'm flying back to Singapore on the 27th, Emma. If we don't meet in person, the board will pick our second choice. Our second choice, my competitor who'd been chasing this deal like a shark. It wasn't just about money. 50 workers depended on me. Lisa, my head chef, had just offered to buy her first house because of this deal. Mark, my operations manager, was planning to move his kids to better schools. This wasn't just my dream, it was theirs too. I checked my bank account. Yes, I was doing well, but this contract would make us a national name. It was the kind of chance you get once in a lifetime. My phone rang. It was my business's money manager. Emma, just checking you'll be at the hotel tomorrow night for the dinner with Rachel's team. I'll be there, I said, looking at my packed bags. Good. Rachel said she's excited to meet the boss who built such a great company without any family money or connections. She said it's rare to find someone so real if she only knew how true that was. My phone pinged with an email from my mum. The subject, Urgent Christmas Eve Menu. My stomach twisted as I opened it. 7 main dishes, 10 sides, special diets for 5 guests, wine choices, dessert list. The details were overwhelming. She'd planned every dish, every topping, every plate. Use the crystal glasses and the silver with our initials, she wrote. These are important people, Emma. One of them is Rachel from Summit Enterprises. She could help Chloe's career. I nearly dropped my phone. Rachel Lee was going to be at my parents' house. I checked the guest list Mom sent. There it was, Rachel Lee, CEO, Summit Hotels. My heart pounded as I realized the crazy coincidence. The woman I was meeting in Florida was going to be at my parents' house, expecting me to serve her dinner. Another text from Chloe popped up. Mom says Rachel Lee's coming. She's a big deal in hotels. I'm pitching her my PR services. Don't mess up with your basic cooking. I just catered Rachel's company event for 500 people last month, though my team handled it and she hadn't met me yet. That was set for tomorrow. I sat on my bed, the weight of my choice pressing down. Stay and serve the woman who could make me a millionaire, pretending to be a nobody, or leave and face my family's anger, but secure my future. My Uber alert popped up. Your ride to the airport is set for 6:30 p.m. tomorrow. I looked at the menu, then my contract, then my plane ticket. The choice was obvious. I called my mom. She answered right away. Finally, I was worried you weren't taking this seriously. Mom, I can't do it. Silence. Then her voice got sharp. What do you mean you can't? I have a work trip. I'm flying to Florida tonight. Don't be silly, she said, her voice getting louder. What work could you possibly have? A big meeting? She laughed. Emma, stop being selfish. Your sister needs this. Chloe can hire a catering team. With what money? Do you know how much that costs? I bit my tongue. The irony of her asking me about catering costs was almost too much. Family comes first, she snapped. Or are you too selfish to get that? I get it perfectly. Family comes first when you need me. How dare you? When's the last time you asked about my life, Mom? We know about your life. You're jobless, living in a tiny apartment. I'm a CEO. Another laugh, this one mean. A CEO of what? Your pretend company? It's not pretend. I have 50 workers. Emma, enough with the daydreams. Chloe needs this. You owe us, I owe you. You raised me, fed me, and treated me like a servant. You're being dramatic. What else do you have to do? Sit alone in your apartment on Christmas? I looked at my first-class ticket. I have a flight at 8 p.m. Cancel it. No. If you leave, don't come back. The threat hung there, the same one she'd used before. Usually it worked. Usually I gave in. Then I guess this is goodbye, I said softly. You can't be serious. I'm done being the family helper, Mom. I'm done being invisible until you need something. You ungrateful... I hung up. My hands were shaking, but for the first time in 15 years, it wasn't from fear or anger. It was from freedom. My phone exploded with texts from Chloe. What did you just do? Mom's freaking out. Stop being dramatic and get here. I turned off my phone and kept packing. They'd figure it out. They always did when they had to. I turned my phone back on to clear one thing up. It rang instantly. "Emma, what is wrong with you?" Chloe yelled. "Mom's telling everyone you've lost it. I have a work meeting on Christmas Eve." "Stop lying." "I'm not lying." "This is about that stupid fight last month, isn't it?" "When Mom gave me your room." "My room's been your closet for years, Chloe. This is about my real career." "What career?" "You cook sometimes. I own a catering company." "Sure you do," she said, her voice full of sarcasm. "Look, I'll pay you $200 to cook." I almost laughed. My fee for personal chef work was $5,000 a day. Not that she'd know. "This isn't negotiable, Chloe. I'm not coming. Mom will disown you." "That's her choice." "You're ruining Christmas? My work event? Then hire a caterer on Christmas Eve. Are you crazy?" "No one's available." I walked to my kitchen counter, where I'd left a notepad. I'd written down 3 catering companies that could handle last-minute jobs, along with their 24-hour numbers. It was more than they deserved, but I wasn't heartless. I left a note with catering numbers. "I'm not driving to your apartment for your stupid note." "Then search for emergency catering online. You're being selfish. I'm being professional. My job needs me to travel." "What job?" she screamed. "Stop pretending you're something you're not." My Uber alert popped up. "Your driver arrives in 2 hours." "I have to go, Chloe. If you do this, you're done with us." "I'm already invisible to you." "What's the difference?" I hung up and turned off my phone for good. On the counter, I left the note with the catering numbers in plain sight, just in case they stopped by. Next to it, I placed my business card. Emma Carter, CEO, Bright Star Events. They wouldn't come. They wouldn't see it. But I'd know I tried to help, even as I chose myself for the first time. The plane took off from the airport at 8:07 p.m., and I finally breathed out. Below, Connecticut faded into a blur of lights. Somewhere down there, my mom was probably calling every relative, saying I was the selfish daughter who ditched family on Christmas. I opened my laptop and checked the summit contract again. There it was. Rule 15.3. CEO must attend all major planning meetings. Rachel had insisted on that rule, saying she only worked with leaders who were involved. My email had 17 new messages from Rachel's team, all confirming tomorrow's schedule. Dinner at 7 p.m., presentation at 9 a.m. on the 26th, contract signing right after, if the board approved. I opened Rachel's latest email. "Excited to meet you in person, Emma. I've followed Bright Star Events' growth for 2 years. Your reputation is amazing." My reputation. If only she knew I was supposed to be serving her dinner at my parents' house right now. A text from my assistant came through the plane's Wi-Fi. "The magazine wants to know if they can talk about your family in the article." They liked the built it alone angle. I replied, "The article runs December 27th, right?" "Yes, live at midnight on the 26th. Perfect timing. By the time my family learned who I was, the contract would be signed, and the news would be out." I opened the magazine's draft article they'd sent for review. The headline, "From Unseen to Unstoppable, How Emma Carter Built a Catering Empire Without Family Help." The universe had a funny way of timing things. The Summit Hotel suite was stunning, with huge windows facing the ocean and a bottle of champagne on ice with a note. "Welcome, Miss Carter. Excited for our partnership, Rachel Lee." I set down my bags and checked my phone. 47 missed calls from my mum, 18 from Chloe, even 3 from my usually quiet dad. I deleted the voicemails without listening. Instead, I opened an email that made me smile. My PR manager sent the final version of the magazine article with a note. "They made you the cover story. It'll be on newsstands December 27th. The cover, my photo, confident and professional, nothing like the invisible daughter my family knew. The article explained everything. How I started with $5,000 from waitressing, built my company without investors, and chose to succeed without my family's name. Another email caught my eye, from Rachel. Emma, I'll be late to tomorrow's dinner, coming from a social event in Connecticut. Hope that's okay, Connecticut. She was at my parents' house right now, probably wondering where the fancy dinner was. My assistant texted, "The magazine wants to know if you'll talk about your family's reaction to your success." I thought about it. Tell them my family will find out when everyone else does, when the magazine is out. That's bold, boss. I love it. I walked to the window, watching the waves hit the shore. In 12 hours, I'd signed the biggest deal of my career. In 36 hours, my face would be on every magazine stand. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge. It's success they never expected. I put down my phone and ordered breakfast from room service. In 3 hours, I'd have dinner with Rachel Lee. I wondered if she'd mention the mess at my parents' house or recognize my last name. Most of all, I wondered what my mum's face would look like when she learned the truth. The dinner meeting at Summit Resort was set for 7 p.m. I arrived early, in my best suit, ready to seal the deal of my life. What I didn't expect was Rachel walking in with a story. "Emma," she greeted warmly, though she looked tired. "Sorry I'm late." I just came from the weirdest Christmas Eve party in Connecticut. My heart stayed calm. I'd prepared for this. "Oh, what happened?" "You won't believe it," she said, shaking her head. "I was invited to a fancy dinner at Susan Carter's house. Same last name as you, funny enough. She promised a big meal cooked by her daughter." I nodded, staying quiet. We got there and it was a mess. No food, empty kitchen, and Susan scrambling to order pizza. Pizza for executives she'd been trying to impress for months. "That must have been awkward," I said. "It gets worse." She spent the night trash-talking her older daughter, calling her unreliable, unstable, a family failure. Apparently, this daughter was supposed to cook but vanished. Rachel showed me a photo from the party on her phone. There was my mom, red-faced with embarrassment, pizza boxes on her fancy table. Chloe, the younger daughter, tried to save it, but it was a disaster. She even pitched me PR services while serving cheap pizza on plates worth more than my car. "Did you stay long?" 20 minutes after the pizza came, Susan was so busy making excuses and blaming her absent daughter, she forgot to host. It was the most unprofessional night I've ever seen. She said her daughter was too dumb to have a real job, so she just cooked for them. My hand stayed steady on my folder. "That's awful, isn't it?" "I can't imagine treating family like that." Rachel opened her menu. "Now, let's talk about something better, your amazing company." Here's where it all falls apart in the best way. If you've been waiting for truth to hit hard, you're about to love this. But first, what would you have done in my shoes? Would you have told Rachel who you were right then, or waited for a better moment? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing your thoughts. If this story speaks to you, hit that follow button to share it with others who need it. Now here's the moment that changed everything. The next morning, December 26th, I stood in Summit's meeting room, ready to present to Rachel and her team. The contract was ready, my presentation was perfect, and everything was going great until Rachel's assistant walked in with a tablet. "Ms. Lee, you need to see this. A photo from that Connecticut party is going viral online." Rachel took the tablet, and I watched her face shift from curious to confused to stunned. She looked at me, then the screen, then me again. "Emma," she said slowly, "this photo from the Carter house in Connecticut." She showed me the tablet. Someone had posted a family photo from my parents' wall, from last Thanksgiving, where I stood in the back, barely noticeable, while Chloe posed front and center with our parents. "Is this you?" I nodded. "Yes, Susan Carter is my mom." The room went quiet. Rachel's team exchanged looks. The lawyer put down his pen. "The woman who called you unreliable, unstable, and jobless is your mom?" "Yes." Rachel stood, walked to the window, then turned back. You were supposed to cook that dinner, the one that turned into a pizza disaster. I was, but I chose my business over being treated like a helper. Rachel checked her phone. Your mom said you don't have a job, that you're a failure who only cooks. She doesn't know about Bright Star events. She never asked. Rachel sat down heavily. Let me get this straight. Your family has no idea you run one of the top catering companies on the East Coast. They don't know about your 50 workers, your 3 offices, or this $2 million contract we're about to sign. They think I'm jobless and live in a tiny apartment. Rachel's business partner, Tom, spoke up. So, the woman serving pizza on Fancy Crystal last night doesn't know her daughter could have catered that event with top-notch quality. She's never asked what I do. She assumes I'm a failure. Rachel started laughing, not a small chuckle, but real, loud laughter. Oh my gosh, she spent the whole night complaining about her disappointing daughter, and that daughter is you. The CEO I've wanted to work with for 2 years. She looked at her team. Folks, we're about to sign the most interesting deal of our careers. Rachel opened her phone again, typing my name into a search. The results popped up instantly. Oh my gosh, she said, showing her team. The first result was my business magazine feature. The second was my award nomination. The third was a newspaper article about women in business. Your family doesn't know about any of this. Before I could answer, her assistant rushed in. Ms. Lee, you'll want to see this. The magazine just announced their 40 under 40 cover story for tomorrow. He showed it on the meeting room screen. There I was, in a professional photo, with the headline, From Unseen to Unstoppable, How Emma Carter Built a Catering Empire Without Family Help. Rachel read the preview aloud. Carter, 32, turned a $5,000 investment into a multi-million-dollar business, choosing to avoid family connections or support. I wanted to prove success doesn't need a famous name or family money, Carter says. She looked at me. This goes live tonight at midnight. Your family still doesn't know. They'll find out when everyone else does. Tom whistled. Your mom's going to see her jobless daughter on the magazine cover. Rachel stood. I need to make a call. She stepped out, and through the glass, we saw her talking excitedly on her phone. She came back 5 minutes later, smiling oddly. I just called Susan Carter. My stomach dropped. You what? I told her I was disappointed in last night's event and was taking my business elsewhere. She begged me to reconsider, said it was her older daughter's fault. Then I told her I just signed a $2 million contract with the most talented businesswoman I know. Her daughter, Emma Carter, CEO of Bright Star Events. The room was silent. The sound she made, Rachel said, was like she couldn't breathe. Then she hung up on me. My phone, on silent, showed 47 missed calls in 3 minutes, all from my mom. Rachel held out her hand. Ms. Carter, let's sign this contract. We have a partnership to celebrate. As I signed the $2 million contract, my phone buzzed with a text from my dad. Your mom just fainted. What's Bright Star Events? The contract was done, champagne was poured, and my phone kept buzzing. I stepped out to check the messages. Mom, answer your phone now. Chloe, is this a sick joke? Dad, your mom's hysterical. Please call Chloe. Victoria Lee just said you're a CEO. This is cruel, Emma, pretending to be successful to embarrass us. I returned to the meeting room, where Rachel and her team were still celebrating. My family thinks I'm lying about being a CEO, I said. Rachel's eyes sparkled. Want me to send them proof? Before I could answer, she took a photo of me with the signed contract, her team, and the champagne. She posted it online, tagging Bright Star Events, Summit Hotels, and Susan Carter of Connecticut. The post said, excited to announce our $2 million partnership with Bright Star Events and their amazing CEO, Emma Carter. Her company's top-notch catering will make Summit's guests happy everywhere. Incredible to work with someone who built their empire from nothing. Within minutes, the post had tons of likes and comments. Industry friends I'd worked with for years added their congratulations. Past clients shared their great experiences with Brightstar. My phone rang. It was Chloe, on speaker with Rachel's okay. "This can't be real," Chloe said, her voice shaky. "It's real. You've been a CEO for 5 years? Why didn't you tell us? You never asked. You all assumed I was a failure and treated me like it. Mom's freaking out." She's calling everyone to explain. Everyone saw Rachel's post. "That's not my problem anymore." How can you be so cold? I looked at Rachel and her team, all successful people who never doubted my worth. "I'm not cold, Chloe. I'm done. Done being invisible until you need a cook. Done pretending I'm less to make you feel better. But we're family. Family doesn't treat each other like helpers. Call me when you're ready to meet Emma Carter, the CEO, not Emma the cook." I hung up. Rachel raised her champagne glass. "To boundaries." We all toasted, and for the first time I felt truly seen. That evening I called my mum back. She answered instantly, crying. "How could you do this to us?" "Do what exactly?" "Embarrass us." Rachel Lee told everyone at the country club about your company. "People are asking why we didn't know our daughter was successful. You never asked about my life." "We asked. We knew you cooked sometimes. You assumed I was a failure. For 5 years, you called me jobless. You never asked about my work, my home, my life. You should have told us." I tried. 3 years ago, I mentioned a big client. You changed the subject to Chloe's ad campaign for a sports drink. You said, "That's nice, dear, but Chloe's work is really doing well." Silence. "I left catering numbers on my counter," I said calmly. "You could have saved the party. We don't have keys to your apartment. You've never asked to visit. You don't even know where I live." "That's not—" "Mom, I employ 50 people. I have 3 offices. I've been in magazines. I was nominated for a big award. And you thought I was jobless because it was easier than seeing me. We're your family. My family needs a helper. My business needs a CEO. I chose my business. This is about spite." "No, Mom. It's about self-respect. I built something amazing without your money, connections, or belief in me. What do you want from us? Nothing anymore. That's the point. Emma, the magazine article comes out tonight. You might want to brace yourself. It explains how I built my company without family help." "You told the magazine about us?" "I told my truth. If that embarrasses you, think about why." My dad's voice came from the background. "Susan, maybe we should listen." "I'm done listening," my mom snapped. Then to me, "You've ruined this family." "No, Mom. I've built my own life. Call me when you're ready to be part of it. As equals, not boss and helper." I hung up gently, feeling lighter than ever. The social fallout came fast, but not for me. Within 2 days of Rachel's online post, my family's perfect image fell apart. The country club gossip was buzzing, and Chloe's texts told the story. Summit cancelled our PR contract. Rachel Lee said they don't work with people who don't value family. That's a $500,000 loss for my company. Mum got kicked off the charity board. They said it's unrelated, but everyone knows why. Dad's golf friends are asking how he didn't know his daughter was a millionaire. The magazine article went viral in our Connecticut circle. The headline, "Built without a penny of family money," hit hard, but a quote in the 3rd paragraph was the real blow. "My family assumed I was jobless. It was easier to build an empire quietly than to fight their assumptions." My dad called me directly, a rare thing. "Emma, I need to say something. I knew you were doing something with catering. I saw your business papers years ago when mail got mixed up, but your mom was so sure of who you were supposed to be. I should have spoken up. I'm ashamed. It was the most honest he'd been in 15 years. "Why didn't you?" I asked. It was easier to go along with her story than fight it. I see now I was part of the problem. Your success is incredible, and we missed it because we weren't looking. Your mom's lost 3 charity roles. Chloe's company's losing clients. Everyone's asking how we treated our successful daughter like a servant while praising Chloe for average PR work. I didn't want to hurt anyone. You didn't hurt us, Emma. We hurt ourselves. We made up a story where you were the failure and Chloe was the star. Now everyone sees we were wrong. He paused. That pizza disaster is already a country club joke. Susan Carter, who bragged about her parties, serving cheap pizza on fancy crystal while her CEO daughter signed million-dollar deals. Despite it all, I felt a bit sorry for them. Dad, I don't apologize. You earned these consequences. While my family dealt with their social mess, my life soared. The magazine article included a photo of me at the summit signing, champagne in hand, with executives who valued me. The contrast to my family's Thanksgiving photo, where I stood in the back like a helper, was clear to everyone. Within a week, Bright Star Events got over 200 new client inquiries. Big clients who'd been unsure now wanted to work with the CEO who built an empire from scratch. My inbox was full of interview requests, speaking offers, and partnership ideas. Rachel Lee became my biggest supporter, telling her network about the Christmas Eve disaster with a grin. Imagine having a star in your house and treating her like a servant. 3 major deals came from her introductions, worth $10 million combined. I hired 20 new workers, promoted Lisa to head chef and Mark to operations chief. During our growth meeting, Lisa said something that stuck. What I love about this company is you built it for people who were ignored. Half of us were told we'd never be anything. She was right. I'd hired people like me, talented folks who'd been overlooked or underestimated. A reporter texted, "Your story's everywhere. A TV network wants a documentary called Unseen to Unstoppable, the Emma Carter story." The best moment was an invitation to speak at a top hospitality school, my dream college, where my parents once said I wasn't good enough. The topic? Building success without permission, creating your own path in hospitality. As I reviewed my speech notes, my phone buzzed with a text from my mum. "We need to talk, please." I looked at it for a moment, then archived it and kept planning my future. Success was the best answer to disrespect, but boundaries were the best gift I gave myself. 3 months later, I met my family at a neutral spot, a quiet restaurant in New York, my turf. They looked different, less confident. My mom had lost her bossy vibe, Chloe, her smugness, and my dad seemed older. "Before anyone talks," I said, placing a paper on the table, "these are my rules." They leaned in to read. 1. Equal respect or no contact. 2. No more treating me like a helper. 3. Publicly admit my success. 4. Real apologies, not just words. 5. Therapy for all of us. "These aren't negotiable," I said. "I'll be your daughter, not your servant. Your sister, not your staff." My mum's eyes teared up. "Emma, we've lost everything. My reputation, Chloe's clients. That's not my responsibility, Mom." "We know," my dad said. "We're not here to blame you. We're asking for a second chance." Chloe spoke up. "I was jealous. You were always better, but Mom made me feel special by putting you down. I see how wrong that was." It was the most honest she'd been in years. "I'm in therapy now," she added. "My therapist says we built a family where someone had to be the failure so others could feel successful. You got that role before you could fight it." My mom reached out but didn't touch me. "I'm sorry, not just for Christmas Eve, but for 15 years of not seeing you. I made you a helper because I couldn't handle you being more successful than I planned." I looked at them. I'll think about it, but know this. I'm not returning to the same family. If we rebuild, it's as equals. They nodded. And Mom, if you want Bright Star Events to cater anything, you're paying full price. She smiled for the first time in months. Fair. 6 months later, I hosted my first family dinner in my real apartment. A 2-bedroom condo with a Central Park view they didn't know existed. My Bright Star team catered it because I no longer cooked for family events. That was a boundary I'd never break again. As my parents and Chloe sat at my table served by my employees who called me boss, the role switch was clear to everyone. But this wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. I want to be clear, I said, raising my wine glass. Success doesn't need permission. Self-worth doesn't need approval, and respect is non-negotiable. My mum nodded. She'd been in therapy for 4 months and had publicly apologized at the country club, admitting she'd been blind to my success. It didn't fix her reputation, but it started fixing our relationship. Chloe's PR company had changed direction, and she'd asked politely if Bright Star might consider her for our PR needs. I told her to send a proposal like anyone else. She did, and it was solid. We were reviewing it. My dad became my surprise supporter, now introducing me as my daughter, the CEO, with real pride. But the biggest change was in me. I no longer hid my success or dimmed my shine to make others comfortable. My company grew to 100 employees across 5 cities. The TV documentary aired to great reviews. Every morning I looked in the mirror and said, I'm Emma Carter, CEO of Bright Star Events, not the family helper. Never again. Your worth doesn't shrink because someone can't see it. Remember that. Thanks for joining my journey from unseen to unstoppable. If my story hit home, share a time you chose yourself over family expectations in the comments. Your story might help someone else. If you believe everyone deserves respect, no matter their role, share this with someone who needs it. Follow for more stories about people who refuse to stay small. You don't have to burn yourself out to keep others warm. Until next time, this is Emma, reminding you to know your worth and add a little extra.